we would like to put a cap on the level of skill of the laborers coming in terms of, we would appreciate if only skilled or technical personnel would come into Kenya as opposed to unskilled labor. Thank you.
I wish to respond to that concern. I think the Kenyan government should be assured that we intend at some point to only have labor exchange only at the professional level. But probably at this point we must admit that some of the laborers that are working on some of the projects are not exactly at professional level. And this is done deliberately in our government, in the Ministry of Labor. The people are qualified for the tasks that they are conducting, and the importance of this is actually for the benefit of both countries, because it necessitates not only transfer of skills, but as well transfer of attitudes, knowledge and attitudes. And when this is observed, when we have a critical mass of people who can work on our projects to the specifications of our companies in China, then we can guarantee the government of Kenya that we are going to control the kinds of exchange that we are going to have. I'm sure my colleague would want to add a point on that.
In addition to that, to what the Minister for Foreign Affairs has said, it is important for the Kenyan delegation to note that our persons are actually very few in relation to the projects that we have in the country. You might have noted that we have over 22 construction firms right now, and we have 52 separate projects that we are running in Kenya currently. And our percentages do not go beyond 10%. In fact, the last time we checked, we had only 4% of Chinese people working in Kenya on those projects, while 96% of the labor is local. So that might help us see that in actual fact, it might just be a fear that is not very well founded, looking at a 90% to 10% comparison. However, it is something that we would like to iron out if you have any fears, but we want to assure you that we control and we have our own regulations. The issue that I would like to raise from this end is concerning our people. We wish to ask that the government of Kenya goes easy for, in regard to work permits for our people. We also would like to ask you, because we are here to do some work for a specified period of time, for example, the construction of roads, we give ourselves time, for instance, 2 years or whatever number of years, depending on the agreements that we have had with you, that you consider the issue of labor. It turns out that in Kenya we have very strong trade unions, which when we are working as a contract may not be very favorable for us. When we have people, the laborers on the refusing to work or having demonstrations and refusing to work, it really becomes very expensive for us. And we wish that the government of Kenya addresses that issue so that we can work smoothly and finish within the required time. I know that to give them a wage that is considerable, and maybe it is something that you as the government of Kenya needs to look into. And then we have the issue of leaves that my colleague from the same ministry will talk about, so that we do not make our labor very expensive, bearing in mind that we have very limited time to construct this, to do this work that we have, and then go back to our country to leave you to move on with your work. Thank you.
I'll comment on the issue of the leave. You get that we are here in this country just for a while to complete this project. And as we understand under the Kenyan law, if it's a woman, after she gives birth, she'll be entitled to 3 months. And maybe that project is intended to be completed in those 3 months. It will mean her going home and her losing her source of income. So if there are these projects, then these are things which needs to be taken into consideration. And the issue of also paternity leave. Fathers going on leave, and actually maybe they don't go on that leave to rest. Maybe they are somewhere else enjoying themselves instead of being there with their wives at home, assisting them with the young children. So that is a major concern for us as the people of China, as the Republic of China, and we'd want to see how Kenya is going to help us resolve this issue, because our time is limited, and we are put conditions where these projects are meant to be completed during a certain period. So how are you going to work out so that we merge with the rules, our laws and also your laws, so that they're in agreement? How are we going to work on that? We'd want to know that, because so that they don't, we don't have a clash of the laws of Kenya and the laws of China. How are we going to work on that to see that we have a smooth operation on that? I'll also my colleague, so that he can comment on other issues that we've seen that have arisen as a result of our work here, most of our work here in Kenya.
Thank you. What we'd like to say is that we would propose that nowadays with the projects that we'll have, the people who will be working with our companies will have contracts with them instead of going into trade unions, individual contracts that binds that person and our companies, so that we'll have good working conditions. Another thing that we would like to propose to the Kenyan government is that any major project that we'll take on and do the construction with a lot of funding from our side, would like to use it for certain period of time, so that we can as well get back some of our resources that we have invested in such areas. So you would give us a time to bring our own, let our own people work on them, use them for some time, so that later on we can transfer it to your government. I think this would give a good deal, so that it is a balanced way of benefiting both of us.
We would also like to find out from you, as the Chinese delegation, what your government is doing about the length of time that it takes our people to acquire a work permit. Sometimes we find that we send our people here for short periods of time, but within that time, 6 months, they're not unable to get their work permits to continue with the work that they're supposed to do. Thank you.
So much. You've tackled a lot of issues to do with labor, which are a bit contentious, and I would like to request on behalf of the Republic of Kenya that if it's possible, we organize another meeting so that we can discuss the Ministry for Labor and Ministry of Immigration, so that they can discuss further and come up with an agreement to that, so that we're able to comply with the international labor laws, and also we can come up with an agreement that is workable and realistic. Thank you.
My colleague in the Ministry of Transport would want to raise an issue that can be looked into together with the other issues that we have raised. So, Mr. Kiprachit.
Thank you very much, Honorable Delegates. I would request at this point in time that the Kenyan government take into consideration what has been in the media in Kenya for a very long time over the conduct of our employees, that now our competitors have tried as much as they can to soil our name by purporting that our engineers are siring children with the locals in areas that they are carrying out projects. And actually we've been looking forward to hearing from the Ministry of Labor or the Kenyan Foreign Affairs Ministry protecting China from these accusations. I would wonder if our engineers would come all the way from China just to come and sire children with the locals. Please, we want to tell you that these are our competitors in play, and as a government, please do protect this country, which is doing a noble cause, which has a noble cause for Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's a good point raised. Let's not forget that the media also has freedom of press, but as the Republic of Kenya, I think it's a good thing. Intermarriages, we're trying to bring out the culture, we're trying to mingle. It's a good thing. We're also trying to expand our population for China, which is a good thing to us. Thank you very much. Just because of time, I would like to establish a joint committee to discuss these issues of labor. It seems they are a bit contentious, so that we can have more time to get real details and on what we'll do forward. Kindly let's move to the Ministry of Transport. Since our ministry is not represented, I'll just highlight the key flagship issues, projects that Kenya would like to partner with China. We like to appreciate that China has assisted Kenya government in development of infrastructure, such as the construction of the Moi International Sports Center, rehabilitation and widening or expansion of the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, Uhuru Highway, that we have towards to the UNEP Road, the northern and the eastern bypass in Nairobi, rehabilitation of Nairobi Thika Highway, and construction of major hospitals. In the year 2010, Kenya officially requested China to fund the implementation of our key 5 flagship projects. Development of the first 3 berths of Lamu Port at the Manda Bay, development of a rail network from Lamu to the southern Sudan and Ethiopia, construction of the standard gauge railway from Mombasa to Malaba and beyond, and mass transit light rail system for the Nairobi Metropolitan, and also finally development of the High Grand Falls multi-purpose project on the River Tana. We'd like to see we can move forward to that. Thank you. Back to Your Excellency, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Republic of China.
Minister for Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Kenya, I wish to ask my colleague in the Ministry of Transport to respond.
Thank you very much, Madam, Your Excellency, the Minister for Foreign Affairs. And I would like to first and foremost appreciate that you've considered China for so many projects, so several road projects. And our main concern is the port of Lamu, that now that we've tested our capability in terms of construction, where we did very well in the construction of the 8-lane highway, that is Thika Road. We'd also want our bid to be considered for the Lamu port. As you are aware, Kenya is thinking of taking this contract to the US. We would appreciate if our contract is considered. Then there is another opportunity that China has seen on the Konza city. This is one of your main projects as encompassed in the Vision 2030 for your country. We would appreciate if you are given an opportunity to construct roads leading to the Konza city site. And again, we realize that Kenya has untapped mineral resources in especially the arid and semi-arid areas, particularly in the northern parts of the country and the northeastern parts of the country. We appreciate the fact that you are doing much in terms of exploration, but yes, if you had roads leading to those arid areas and semi-arid areas, you would do much better. If we would be given, as we have applied to have our construction companies make roads to those semi and arid areas, we would very much appreciate. Otherwise, Your Excellencies, we appreciate the contracts that you've given the constructing companies of China, and we are looking forward for the requests that we've just placed. Thank you.
I would like to adjourn the meeting. We can address the remaining issues in a joint committee so that we can come up with an agreement.
Take this opportunity to comment on the issue of contracts being awarded to companies, Chinese companies, in terms of the Port of Lamu and Konza City. Because Kenya is very intent on strengthening its procurement laws, I would like to inform the People's Republic of China that unfortunately the bids are done on a competitive basis, but because of our long-term relations, we can negotiate at the committee level to find whether there can be any way forward in terms of awarding these contracts. But I think this should be in conjunction with the possible funding of these projects. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, I appreciate your response. But then, based on what you've seen China do in your country, and particularly I mentioned the Thika Highway, which is one of the biggest of the major projects in East and Central Africa. Then I don't believe that there is any other country that has proven that it can do such work. The people of Kenya have seen what Chinese have done, and I believe we can get the contract if we have your blessing. That is our concern. In terms of funding, we would say we would not actually fund the project. Maybe the project be funded by Kenya and in assistance or the support of the African Development Bank and other financial institutions. But then we would offer to build dams for the community living near Konza City. And I think we will have given something back to the community within Konza. Thank you.
I think in terms of your exchange for Chinese companies constructing the port and Konza City, we would like to get an official estimate of how many dams you intend on building, and I think we would insist that it be on a grant basis. So we would like to hear possibly how many dams that you're willing to construct, because we think that it must be at least proportionate to the amount of the contract to be awarded to a Chinese company. Thank you.
Thank you very much. From our feasibility study, we also realized that the population within Konza is not that big. And we also realized that we have two major communities living around Konza from our feasibility study. And we thought having two dams will work, particularly because one of the communities living around there is a pastoralist community, which is the Maasais. Yeah, that dam will do a great deal for them. That is what we are putting on the table, two dams from the People's Republic of China. Thank you.
I have a few issues you need to understand. Konza City is so big to be entrusted in the hands of one contractor. And the concept is such that it is going to be phased out and open tenders will be done. So if your contractors will prove that they are good enough, and we know that your contractors are good, they've done roads and nice buildings here, and I'm sure if they submit their tenders, we will award them their contracts. That's one. Then two, some of this project, for example, the Lamu project, the sponsor of the project is keen on transparency. So this issue of canvassing and trying to give it to you will bring problems as far as the sponsor is concerned. If you are willing to undertake sponsoring the entire project, then we'll also consider giving it to you to build it. Thank you.
Your Excellency, the Minister for Transport, just to reinforce what my colleague has said, all tenders in Kenya, all public contracts have to go through competitive bidding. It will be difficult to promise or to pledge that we can offer China the entire contract to do the Konza City. I do believe that if your companies are competitive enough, then you should be able to get it. But once again, I think I can also correct some impression that we have the final say. We act for the people of Kenya, and they are the ones who will show us the way. Thank you.
Our delegation from Kenya, we appreciate that you're talking on behalf of the Kenyan government and also the Kenyan citizens, that you do not have the final verdict. But I believe our reason for being here is to at least get ourselves on the way forward. And this is just a simple, not so simple, but I may call it simple in quotes, agreement that we are working on. We are not saying that this is the final, what we are requesting for. But because you've already seen our work before, I believe anyone else around Kenya would really appreciate, especially the people who live along those sides where the bypasses have been built. And initially, from the history of Kenya that we've been reading around, the previous contracts that have been given to other contractors have always proved futile. And I would say that as the Chinese government, we've already proven beyond reasonable doubt that given the chance, we can prove ourselves and we can do work. And even if you give it the contract to other countries, believe it or not, we Chinese are the best and the cheapest in the market. We give quality on cheaper rates. Go to any other countries, you will still come back to China.
I would only want to remind the delegation from Kenya that we are on diplomatic relations, we are on diplomatic negotiations, and anything we agree here will be on the interest of our people. And so it is not about competitive bidding. It is about what interest do we have at heart? Of what interest does what interest do we have for our people on heart in heart? That if we negotiate and we agree, it is we, the delegation, that is going to sell the idea out there to convince our people that yes, China was able to make a very good road for us, 8-lane superhighway that has never been seen in East and Central Africa. And yes, it is only China that we can entrust with the projects in Konza City. We are not asking for too much. We understand and we appreciate the fact that the Honorable Ministers said that you are going to have the work done in phases. We are just asking for road construction, access to Konza City. We are not asking for the construction of the buildings or other facilities within Konza City, just access. And we are saying, because we are on record of having worked very well with the Kenyan government in construction of roads. If that will be taken into account, our past record, then we will appreciate that this time round will be considered just for the roads. Let the Americans have the construction of the buildings. Let the British construct the sewer line and other issues. But please, we are asking, because of the good relationship we have with the people of Kenya, let's have the transport system. Thank you.
We Chinese people, we are very generous. We are actually willing to give you a loan at a lower interest and with no strings attached at all, so that these projects that you have, Lamu and so forth, can be well funded. We'll give you give us the project, then we give you the loans at a very cheaper and lower rates. I think this is for the good of both of us, because you need the funding for these projects.
Chinese construction companies have been unfairly accused of is that we tend to outbid other companies, whatever that means. But we are here to inform the government of Kenya that our people, when we give bids, if they are cheap, we know that we are able to work within the limits. And the people of Kenya bear witness to us that we have been able to deliver. Some of the competitors who come in the name of competitive bidding have also been accused in the past of corruption and having failed to deliver on their projects that they promised. We have done work for Kenya, and even today, our word should be our abiding. And when we ask for these projects, we are only asking for what we know. We are confident, we are sure that we are able to deliver. And in this context, we highly urge the delegation of the Republic of Kenya to consider our request, the request of the delegation of the People's Republic of China,